Good morning to all of you and welcome to the session, the Hindu editorial analysis for proficiency in English. Let us go to the editorial and see what it is about and how it starts. Assam brew. It's all about the state of Assam. Mr Sharma cannot continue with the BJP's evasive position on citizenship. It's all about the stand taken by BJP party regarding citizenship, and the editorial says it cannot continue with the evasive position. Recently I've got the word evade, evasive. Form is different, meaning is the same. What is the meaning of the word evade? It means to avoid or to escape. Now today, from today's editorial, not too many words, but a few words are really important. Coming to the word albeit, it's a new word, it's an important one. Sustainable, you have got many a time. Strident, a new word, you got to remember. Familiar ones, I will not put a star mark. Unfamiliar, important. New, I'll put a star mark so that you can focus on those words. Polarizing, we have got many a time. Autonomous, you must be knowing. Regime, we have got recently. Discrepancies, that's an important word, but we have got recently. Disingenuous, this is an important word. Ingenuous, disingenuous. Mandate, familiar word. Compassion goes with everyday English as well as effective English. Now let us go to only 10 words you're going to learn from today's editorial. Let us go to the editorial and see what it is about and what is there to learn, not only from vocabulary point of view, from grammar point of view, and from effective English point of view. Assam brew. Brew has got two different meanings, two or three meanings rather. One, it goes with making beer, another goes with making tea or coffee. But in this context, brew, a situation is brewing, means what? You expect an unpleasant situation, unwanted situation, going to happen or likely to happen or about to happen. The storm or the particular situation, unpleasant situation, is about to happen. Assam brew. So from this word, at the outset, you cannot make out what exactly it means, but when you read, you can easily make out. And what is the main idea of the editorial? Himanta Biswa Sharma cannot continue, negative, cannot continue with the BJP's evasive position on citizenship. It starts on a negative note. It talks about the new CM cannot continue with the BJP's, the party's stand, evasive position on citizenship. Now, cannot continue, can continue, what is a negative? Cannot continue. The helping verb can has got four functions. One of the functions, it is used to express one's ability. Cannot means inability. Continue with what? The BJP's evasive. Evade or evasive, to avoid or to escape. Position on citizenship. What is a position on something? Here you have to focus on the preposition. Position on citizenship. That's an important phrase. The transfer of power in Assam from Sarbanda Sonowal to Himanta Biswa Sharma was a smooth affair, albeit mediated by the Bharatiya Janata Party's central leadership. Albeit, but before that there is one. This sentence talks about the transfer of power from one person to another, from one chief minister to another chief minister. And there's an important phrase over here, though a familiar one. A smooth affair. Generally we say something is unpleasant, we say a rough affair. Opposite, a smooth affair. Without any problems, the transformation of power in this context. Albeit is an important word and it goes with written English as well as formal English. Albeit means though. Was a smooth affair, though, you have to take it that way, mediated by the Bharatiya Janata Party central leadership. Though, albeit, an important word. Now it talks about what exactly, who this person is and what is his background. Mr. Sharma has been the key strategist and troubleshooter, a person who solves the problems we use. There are two words you have to think of. One is troubleshooter, a positive word. The other one, troublemaker, a negative one. Someone creates problems all the time. We use the word troublemaker. But someone who solves the problems, we use the word troubleshooter. Mr. Sharma has been the key strategist, strategy, plan, one meaning, and strategic studies. It has a different connotation altogether. Strategic studies means related to defense, but strategy, a plan. What is your strategy to achieve success? The key strategist and troubleshooter for the BJP, not only in Assam, but in the entire Northeast for 6 years now. For 6 years now. That phrase goes with present perfect tense. So here you see present perfect tense has been. But again, do remember here we have used the helping of to be as a main verb. Mr. Sharma has been the key strategist and troubleshooter for the BJP, not only in Assam. Usually what happens when you see the expression not only, you expect but also. Here they haven't used, but do remember in the exam, not only always takes but also. So I'll read it that way. Not only in Assam, but also in the entire Northeast for 6 years now. I always tell you guys that time phrases are very important to make out a particular tense. For 6 years now means what? For the last 6 years. These phrases go with either present perfect or present perfect continuous. Based on that, here you see a sentence in present perfect. It would have been unsustainable for the party to keep him away from the post of the chief minister any longer. He was a key strategist and a troubleshooter. Obviously, deserves to become the chief minister. So, it would have been unsustainable. There's an important expression pattern over here. Would plus have plus verb past participle. It goes with past conditional. Had you come in time, you would have met the director. If you had come in time, you would have met the director. So do recollect past conditional. Unsustainable. Sustainable. Today we talk about sustainable use of resources. Means what? Using the resources, keeping the future generations in mind, or using the resources wisely without exploiting the resources completely, without using up the resources. Another meaning of the word sustain, to hold for a long time, to continue. Unsustainable means cannot be continued, not advisable to continue. Unsustainable for the party to keep him away from the post of the chief minister any longer. He deserves to be the chief minister. He was a key figure, and it talks again about his background. He was a key figure in the Congress until 2015 when he walked out of it to instantly emerge as the face of the BJP. Now a key figure, an important person, that's an important phrase. He was a key figure in the Congress until 2015. When he walked out of it in this context means to leave the Congress party, to instantly emerge as the face of the BJP, means representing the party. Face of the BJP in the Northeast means what? He is the main person when it comes to the BJP party. A champion of pluralism as a Congress leader. There are certain words you got to understand, and these words are used regularly in the newspapers. A champion of pluralism. That means he was for pluralism. What is pluralism? Different groups, different sectors, different segments, and you encourage different groups, ethnic groups or tribal groups or religious groups to coexist. Then it results in pluralism. A champion of pluralism as a Congress leader. Mr. Sharma grew strident as a polarizing figure in Assam as a BJP leader. From pluralism to opposite polarizing. What is polarizing? It is something like you have two groups, two opposing groups, two poles, the North Pole, the South Pole. If the society is divided into two opposing groups, then we say the society has been polarized. That's an important word. The BJP won Assam, that is in the past. The BJP won Assam for a second consecutive time on the back of intense Hindu consolidation that swept through autonomous tribal regions and across Bengali and Assamese speakers. So this talks about how BJP came into power on the back of intense Hindu consolidation that swept through autonomous tribal regions and across Bengali and Assamese speakers. Autonomous, you must have heard of this word many a time. You must have heard this word many a time. Autonomous university, autonomous organization means what? Independent, not affiliated to anyone or anything. Mr. Sharma has said his government would expand the welfare scheme started in the BJP's first term, particularly targeting women and tea garden workers. Now, his statement has said it is in present perfect tense related to reported speech. His government would expand. They should have given will expand, but here would talks about a particular idea. You can use will or would. The welfare scheme started in the BJP's first term, particularly targeting women and tea garden workers. That is hardly a controversial move, apart from the additional burden it might put on the state finances. The real challenge, so what are the challenges for the new chief minister? The real challenge for him is in balancing the conflicting expectations of the constituents of the party's support base with regard to the new citizenship regime legislated by the center. There's a conflict between the expectations of the constituents of the party support base, one thing. On the other hand, the new citizenship regime legislated by the center. With regard to an important expression goes with grammar, and there's an important word, but you have got this word many a time. Regime means a particular government in power, that too an authoritative one. Military regime, BJP regime, Congress regime, typical combinations. Mr. Sharma's government has already moved. The word already usually goes with present perfect tense. Mr. Sharma's government has already moved the Supreme Court for a re-verification of the Assam National Register of Citizens, NRC. The state government alleges major irregularities in its making, ineligible inclusions and unreasonable exclusions. These two sentences talk about what exactly Mr. Sharma's government has initiated. Has already moved the Supreme Court for a re-verification, one thing, of the Assam National Register of Citizens, NRC. The other one, the state government alleges, allegation, point out, accusation, major irregularities regarding what in its making. One is ineligible inclusions and the other one unreasonable exclusions. An application by the state also prays for the deletion of illegal voters from Assam's electoral rolls. Again, the same context. The final draft of the NRC published in August 2019 had excluded, that is in past perfect, 19.06 lakh out of 3.3 crore applications for lack of adequate documents establishing them as Indian citizens. Some think too few have been excluded. Look at the numbers, about 19 lakh out of 3.3 crore. Only 19 lakh have been, those many people have been excluded. So something too few have been excluded. Have been excluded, it is in present perfect passive voice. We have excluded someone, someone has been excluded. We have excluded them, they have been excluded. The CM wants up to 20% re-verification in the NRC for areas bordering Bangladesh and 10% for interior areas. And the Supreme Court's guidance on the issue if discrepancies are found. He wants the Supreme Court's guidance on the issue if there's a condition, discrepancies are found. Discrepancy, I think you have got this word recently. What does it mean? Lack of similarity between two things. The BJP's evasive position, avoiding, escaping position on what? On the Citizenship Amendment Act, which Assamese nationalists fear will open a floodgate of Bengali Hindus into the state, besides granting citizenship to those who are already there, has been successful as an electoral strategy this time. Now, BJP at the time of elections, they used a particular card as an electoral strategy. What is that, or what was that? Evasive position on the Citizenship Amendment Act. And it has been successful. Has been successful, it is in present perfect. That it is a central law and the state has little to do with it is technically correct, but it is disingenuous for a party that is in power at both levels. So this talks about, on the one hand, it seems right because state and the center, technically correct, but it is disingenuous, means not candid, not sincere for a party that is in power at both levels. The BJP has been riding a tiger on the citizenship question. This is an expression you should understand. When you ride a tiger, you can't afford to stop. If you stop, you can't afford to stop, you can't afford to fall. If you stop or fall, the tiger will eat you. You have to ride a tiger continuously. That means, in a way, it's a very dangerous situation. The BJP has been riding, that is, present perfect continuous tense. The party must use, how does the editorial end? The party must use has got two different functions. One, it is used to express a personal obligation. The other, it is used to convey the idea that something is compulsory. The party must use its fresh mandate. Usually at the time of the elections, we use the word mandate. Mandatory, compulsory, that's a different meaning altogether. But mandate, to give the authority to a particular party to rule. The party must use its fresh mandate in Assam as an opportunity to refresh its approach towards peoples and their movements in the Northeast with compassion and realism. This is like a personal opinion. So here, it must use this opportunity to refresh its approach towards peoples. A lot of students may think people, singular peoples, not correct, always people. But if you are talking about different groups of people, then you can use the word people in the plural form. Do remember, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the word peoples. Absolutely right. And the movements in the Northeast with compassion and realism. Compassion, an important word. What does it mean? To have sympathy towards someone. Sympathetic, to be sympathetic, and show concern because of someone's bad or adverse situation. Now let us see what you can learn from the editorial, the vocabulary part, albeit an important word, though. Unsustainable, another important word, the word in the limelight, but in this context, not the regular meaning, not capable of being prolonged. Sustain someone's interest means hold someone's interest, cannot sustain means cannot hold for a long time. Prolonged means for a long time. Strident, forceful or very loud. I forgot to tell the meaning over there while doing the analysis. Strident is also an important word. Means what? Forceful or very loud. Someone expresses his views or his stand in a forceful manner. We use the word strident. Polarizing, limelight, it is in the limelight. To become divided into two opposing groups. South Pole, North Pole. Remember, then easy to make out the meaning of this particular word. Autonomous, a familiar word, independent. Regime, a familiar word, a government in authority. Usually not democratic, authoritative. Discrepancies, an important word, surprising lack of similarity. There is no similarity. There should be similarity, but you don't find the similarity between two similar things. Then we use the word discrepancies. Disingenuous, a new word you have to remember. Not candid. Candid means frank, sincere. British English we say to be frank. Americans don't use that expression. They say to be candid. Both mean the same. One is British, the other is American. Mandate, to give authority to rule in this context. Compassion, sympathetic concern towards someone's adverse situation. Now, comprehension point of view, what are the questions? As usual, what is this editorial about? What would have been unsustainable for the BJP party? One key word, which one is that? Unsustainable. Another key word, the BJP party. What is a real challenge for the new chief minister? Real challenge, new chief minister, key words. What are the allegations made by the state government regarding NRC? What are the key words over here? Allegations and NRC. Regarding what? NRC. What has been successful as an electoral strategy for the BJP party? BJP party has used a particular strategy, and what has been successful as an electoral strategy for the BJP party? Based on the keywords, you can easily locate the answer. Now let us go to the exercises related to, all are related to exam topics. The first one, error location. And I will give you a few seconds to read the sentence. Then I will read out the sentence and tell where exactly the error is. The Supreme Court has through opened the door to the legislature to ponder over the idea of placing convicts under house arrest to avoid overcrowding of prisons. Where is the error? The sentence is in present perfect. Any perfect sentence, any perfect tense, not sentence, any perfect tense, the sentence, if you take a particular sentence, in any of the perfect tenses, the main verb should be in past participle form. Based on that, through is not correct. It should be thrown. Thrown open. Throw, through, thrown. The Supreme Court has thrown open the door. And there are two important words over here. Ponder. Ponder means to think deeply. You think about something deeply, ponder. And convict. Convict means a person who has been found guilty. If a person is found innocent by the court, he is acquitted. If the person has been found guilty, he is convicted. Then we call that person, we say he is a convict. Since yesterday, more than 150 patients with mucormycosis or black fungus, as it is also known, are in touch with us in Hyderabad alone for the drug. Someone's statement. And what is a clue for you? Since yesterday, the preposition since is a clue. Since and a specific time in the past. It goes with either present perfect or present perfect continuous. Based on that, where is the error? Since yesterday, more than 150 patients with mucormycosis or black fungus, as it is also known, are in touch. It is in present tense. It should be in present perfect. Are is not correct. It should be have been. Patients have been in touch. They have been in touch with us since yesterday. We should use present perfect tense. This time, the number of migrants walking to their native places is very less compared to the first wave of COVID-19, when there is an exodus. Now, this question, in a way, it is an important question because it goes with contextual awareness. Quite often in the exam, they ask questions based on contextual awareness. This time, the moment you see the phrase the number, recollect the rule. A number takes a plural verb, the number takes a singular verb. Is very less, nothing wrong with that. Walking, here is very less. This talks about the present. It talks about a particular fact. Compared to the first wave of COVID-19, when now after that first wave of COVID-19, that goes into the past. This clause is about first wave of COVID-19, 2020. Then when there is an exodus, here it talks about a past context. Based on that, you cannot say is, you have to say was. This time, the number of migrants walking to their native places is very less. Here it talks about the fact it should be in present, nothing wrong, singular, nothing wrong. Compared to the first wave of COVID-19, COVID-19 first wave goes into the past when there is not correct, when there was an exodus. Exodus, mass migration in this context, mass migration of migrant workers. Officials have said, present perfect, reporting verb. Then the tenses don't change. Officials have said a team of veterinary doctors and other wildlife experts have left to Kandali and are expected to reach the spot by Friday morning. This is an important question. Now, where is the error? Officials have said a team of veterinary doctors and other wildlife experts have leave to a particular place, a common error. You have to say leave for. To is not correct. It should be leave for. Delhi or Bombay, any place. But usually people say he left to Delhi, not correct. He left for Delhi. Why for here? That is English we cannot question. So left to is not correct. Left for a particular place. A difficult one. In spite of adding the highest number of COVID-19 infections to the global caseload every day, India continues to label itself a country with no community transmission, CT. This again goes with common errors. Previous one also common error. This also goes with common errors. Where is the error? If you're not attentive, if you don't read meticulously, you get carried away and you go for the fifth option. What is the fifth option? No error whatsoever. But indeed, there's an error. What is it? In spite, a lot of Indians write in spite of as two words. In spite one word of one word. It is not correct. In spite of should be written as three separate words. In spite of. In spite of. Three separate words. Never write in spite one word of one word. That is not correct. It's a common error. Now let us go to misspelled or inappropriate words. Some of these are really difficult. And lengthy sentences intentionally have brought lengthy sentences. India, along with South Africa, had initiated a proposal for the temporary waiver of certain provisions in the agreement on trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights, TRIPS, to facilitate fair, affordable, and universal access of COVID vaccines and medicines, especially for developing countries. Initiated, had initiated. Here you have to check two things. One, whether it is appropriate or not. The other, spelling. Initiated, nothing wrong with that word. Waiver of, no problem. And felicitate. Here it is not felicitate. It should be. This is not correct. Facilitate. Facilitate means to provide, and felicitate, felicitation. Tomorrow you get success. People in your village or town or city, they will felicitate. Felicitation, they conduct or they organize a felicitation function. That is entirely different. Appreciation. Felicitation, appreciation, but facilitate, to provide. Under pressure, not easy. Here it may look easy. Express Logistics Service Provider Blue Dart has formed a consortium to deliver vaccines using drones under the Medicine from the Sky project of Telangana government, World Economic Forum, Niti Aayog, and HealthNet Global. So what are the four words over here? Logistics, consortia, deliver, drones. Express Logistics Service Provider Blue Dart has formed a consortia to deliver. Now, you have got this word recently, I believe yesterday, consortium singular, consortia plural. But here you have the indefinite article a. It goes with singular nouns. Based on that, in this context, you cannot use the word consortia. It should be consortium, consortium singular, consortia plural. Here we cannot use a plural noun, we have to use a singular noun. Based on that, consortium is correct. If you don't know the word consortia, consortium, then you cannot spot the error. While there is a lockdown in force for 20 hours a day, with bus and metro rail services curtailed, the administration seems to have missed taking into account the hundreds of long-distance train passengers arriving in the capital daily. A lengthy sentence, intentionally I have brought. While there is a lockdown in force, nothing wrong, for 20 hours a day, with bus and metro rail services curtailed. Curtail means to restrict. That's an important word. Nothing wrong. The administration, nothing wrong, seems to have missed taking into account something, consider something. Nothing wrong with that as well. What does it mean? You have to respect the fifth option. What is it? No error. All the words are correct. All are correct. All are correct. Do respect the fifth option. Now the fourth one. Dozens of political prisoners, mainly civil rights activists, continue to languish. That's an important word. To suffer because of adverse conditions, to suffer for a long time. Those who experience poverty, they languish a lot. They have to face a lot of hardships. In prison indefinitely, with no possibility of their trials commencing anytime soon. This is again a tough one. If you don't know a particular word, you cannot spot the error. Dozens of political prisoners, nothing wrong. Mainly civil rights activists continue to languish, to suffer, nothing wrong, in prison indefinitely. You got cross-check, definite, indefinitely, nothing wrong, with no possibility of their trails. Trail means, imagine you're walking in a forest and there is a path and you want someone else to know your path, then you leave a few things behind. That is known as a trail. And someone commits a murder, kills someone, and he walks off from there, then he leaves blood marks throughout the path. That is also known as trail. But it doesn't go with this context. This context is related to a court. What is the right word? Trial. Here we have to use the word trial, trial. Trial means when you take a particular case, the first step, you want to file a case or you have filed a case against someone. Then the case goes to the court, obviously. Because you filed the case, you are called plaintiff. The other person has to defend himself is called defendant. In the court, Same day, they cannot listen to your case. They take the first hearing, the second hearing, the third hearing, the final hearing. The whole process in the court is called trial. What is the spelling? Trial. And here, the wrong word. Again, a difficult one, under pressure. The Chief Justice said he had received a request to create an independent mechanism for journalists to access court hearings without endangering their health. Endanger, threaten. Here, the Chief Justice said he had received. What is the spelling of receive? It should be RECEIVED, not CIE. It should be CEI. This is not correct. Under pressure, not easy. You may take things for granted. That's why I tell students you got to read the sentences meticulously. You have to respect every letter, every word, every phrase, every clause, every sentence. Today I have brought 6 sentences related to misspelled or inappropriate words. The last question over here. The court directed the authorities to not insist on any identity card from the migrant laborers while distributing dry ration, and that they ought to be an important, but in Western countries this has become outdated. Ought to, should, ought to, both have the same function. In the past, should informal English, ought to formal English. Now, formal or informal we use should, ought to has become outdated. And what is the function? It is used to advise or suggest someone. There ought to be content with the self-declaration made by the workers. Nothing wrong with the word insist, distributing, ought to. No. Contempt, not correct. Contempt, a feeling of contempt, disregard. You think someone is inferior, then we use the word contempt. But this context doesn't take that particular word. In this context, they ought to be satisfied. What is the right word for that? Here we should use content. Content has got many meanings. It goes with a particular session. What is the content? What was the content? But here, they ought to be content with self-declaration, the self-declaration made by the workers. Here, content means satisfied. What is the meaning of that word? They should be satisfied with the self-declaration. They should not insist on the identity card. That's what the sentence talks about. Again, if you don't know these two words, very difficult to spot the error. Content is different. Content is different. Now the last exercise, last but one, parajumble, 6 parts. According to a committee organizing the resemblance event following next week, you may consider a new memorial plaque. You may consider the Mullivical War Remembrance Committee. You may consider the army denied the army. Perhaps we don't know. You may consider accusing the army, along with not an easy one. You have to read once, twice, thrice. Now, what is the main idea? Let us start with B. A new memorial plaque for Tamils killed in Sri Lanka's civil war, along with monuments erected earlier, were found vandalized on Thursday in the northern Mullaitivu district. BF. According to a committee organizing the remembrance event following next week. I'm sorry. Here, the first idea. A new memorial plaque for Tamils killed in Sri Lanka's civil war, along with monuments erected earlier, were found vandalized on Thursday in the northern Mullaitivu district, according to a committee organizing the remembrance event following next week. So BFA1 group. The meaning of the word, this is an important word, vandalize, to damage, to destroy public property like monuments or something that belongs to the public. Usually what happens, you take, let us take the example of a monument. People visit, it's a tourist spot, and they write something and they try to spit over there. They try to damage that monument. Then we use the word vandalize. vandalized, an important word. After that, the Mullaivakal War Remembrance Committee voiced concern over the continuing attack on Tamils' right to memorization. But doesn't you cannot start with that. Let us go with E. Accusing the army of destroying the war memorials for Tamils, the Mullaivakal War Remembrance Committee voiced concern over something. So EC, one idea. And the last sentence, the response of the army. The army denied involvement in the incident. See, here we have six parts. Three parts go with one idea. Two parts go with the second idea, continuity of thought. And the last one goes with the response. BFAECD. Let us have a look at the actual text. A new memorial, along with, according to. See, all go with one particular idea. Accusing the army, and this particular committee has voiced concern. And the response of the army denied involvement in the incident. You got to read carefully. I don't say it is very difficult, but I would like to say it is time taking. It takes time to read all the six parts and place them in the correct order. Now let us go to words, meanings, match, matching the words and the meanings. Albeit, part of speech, preposition, though. It means it could be a connecting conjunction. Though, although, where is though? Answer is G. I think it is a conjunction, not a preposition. Unsustainable. This is an important word. What is the reason? Today we talk about sustainable use of resources. What is the meaning of sustainable? In this context, it means sustainable use of resources. To use the resources thinking of the future generations, to use the resources wisely, but sustain, another meaning, to continue, to hold for a long time, sustain someone's interest, to hold someone's interest. So I'm sorry about that, not a preposition, it's a conjunction. Unsustainable practices, unsustainable something. So here it is an adjective. What is the meaning of unsustainable? Can't be continued. Something is not sustainable, unsustainable, cannot be continued. F is the answer. Strident, strident, forceful stand, forceful views means what? Adjective. Not forceful or loud. Loud is also an adjective. Answer H. Polarizing, polarizing opinion, polarizing stand, polarizing views, adjective. It could be a verb as well. Do remember. To become divided. Answer is I. Autonomous, autonomous organization. Again, a lot of adjectives today. Independent. C is the answer. Regime, noun. BJP regime or military regime. A government, a rule. We also use the word rule. So here B is the answer. Discrepancies, discrepancies singular, discrepancies plural. It has to be a noun. Means what? Lack of similarity. Disingenuous, a new word, important word. Not candid, candid opinion, candid behavior, candid stand. It has to be an adjective. Not candid, not frank, not sincere. Mandate, mandate could be a noun, it could be a verb. In this context, it means what? To give authority. D. Compassion, sympathy or sympathetic concern. Compassion, noun, compassionate, compassion. You should have compassion. Concern, sympathetic concern. E is the answer. That's all about these words. Some of the words are very important. You've got to remember, useful from the exam point of view. That's it for today from this particular editorial. Have a nice day. And today also it is not a live session. You have to wait for a few days. Perhaps by Monday, I will be able to do a live session and after that forever it is going to be, there are going to be live sessions. Thank you very much, and do remember to subscribe.